All right. So Charlie had talked about tigers at the Champlain Valley Fair. Willow Hecht is going to be talking about tigers that she has known in another setting. So welcome, Willow.
Hello, everyone. Should I start? Yeah? All right. This is a story about how big cats saved my life. I've been lucky enough to make my passion for big cats and more broadly animal rescue my actual day job. So most of the photos you're going to see tonight are of animals I consider my friends. I am a cat person and I come from a family of cat people. In the fall of 2006, I happened to read a letter in the back of Glamour magazine written by a man trying to defend his wife's fashion choices after Glamour had published this photo of a woman in head-to-toe mismatched leopard print. She was a fashion don't. That's what they said in the magazine. This woman was Carol Baskin, the founder of Big Cat Rescue, which at the time was the largest big cat sanctuary in the world with 125 cats of 16 different species. You may recognize her name from the Netflix documentary Tiger King, which is a whole different story for another day. I looked up Big Cat Rescue online, having no idea, like many of you might not, that there are thousands of big cats in backyards, basements, circuses, and roadside zoos across the country, and that a handful of accredited sanctuaries rescues them and takes care of them for the rest of their lives if they're really lucky. Big Cat Rescue's videos made me cry. These beautiful animals who were being abused, starved, and neglected were brought to this Tampa, Florida paradise where they had all the specialized care they needed. I became obsessed. At the time, I was 26 years old and had been disabled and largely bedridden from an illness for the previous 6 years from an illness called chronic fatigue syndrome. This illness had stopped my life in its tracks and turned it upside down at the age of 19. I was unable to work or drive or walk or really function much at all in the early years, and I spent most of my time sleeping in my room at my mom's apartment. I saw the Big Cat Rescue videos of the cats and I thought, well, I feel like crap all the time already. I might as well feel like crap down in a tropical paradise surrounded by big cats. So 6 months later, I moved to Florida. I did not have a job there. I did not know anybody there, and I had no experience taking care of big cats. I started volunteering at Big Cat Rescue a couple hours a week. I started as a trainee keeper, cleaning small cat cages in the morning and then sleeping in the afternoon. And I eventually worked my way up to being a senior keeper, taking care of the biggest cats, feeding them, giving them medications. I became paid staff. I directed the education department. I lived on the property. And my favorite thing to do was to make enrichment for the cats, which is basically toys, stimulates their minds in captivity and natural behaviors. I ended up running the enrichment committee for 3 years there as well. The ethos at Big Cat Rescue was basically 100% devotion to the cats at the expense of the rest of your life. So nobody cared that I was sick. I was expected to come and perform. I ate, slept, and breathed Big Cat Rescue. There was a time when I would have given my life to protect these cats. It was a bit cultish, I realize now. But if I didn't show up, the cats didn't eat, they didn't get fresh water, they didn't get medication. That's a big responsibility. We'd be out there in the torrential Florida downpour, in the hurricane, in the pitch dark with water up to our knees and flashlights, making sure those cats had a dry space to sleep and be out of the rain by moving their den boxes up there. Every night my duty was to make sure that the lock on the gate to the sanctuary was closed after everyone left the property for the day. So some days I would just stumble out there in my pajamas, so tired. I could barely think straight, but I never left that lock unlocked. Big cats are incredibly beautiful and fascinating. They're very silly, like house cats, but they have that lethality underlying everything they do. They control the interaction, and they know it. You don't control it. They're really on another plane emotionally also that humans can't understand. They're very sensitive. They're very intelligent. My favorites, as you might have guessed, were the tigers. What an improbable animal. A giant orange striped cat that likes to swim and has paws the size of your head and the strength of 13 men. There's nothing more beautiful and terrifying. That's the ultimate killing machine. Okay. And the cats choose you. You don't choose them, no matter how much you might love them from afar. There's nothing you can do to change their minds about you, but what an honor it was to be chosen. And I was lucky enough to be chosen by a few. After I left Big Cat Rescue at the end of 2014, I got a master's degree in animal welfare science, and I've worked with rescued animals in Peru, Colombia, Spain, and South Africa. I currently work in the captive animal law enforcement department of PETA, where we file lawsuits to shut down the shady facilities and rescue all the animals from each one. I also got long COVID. So on top of the symptoms I already have, I now have a whole new batch of them. But I keep going because in the moments between the fatigue and the dizziness and the nausea, there is this. The only thing that really can get me out of bed, no matter how much I pay for it the next day. Thank you.